So Pew Research Center asks American people, what do you think about torture? And they're largely okay with it. Super frustrating. I wish it weren't the case. And I often talk about how Americans, based on the polls, on facts, are progressive on almost every issue. And it's true. You can go down to all the policy issues, Social Security, taking on the big banks, tax cuts for the rich, defense, they're with us. Immigration reform, they're with us on almost every issue. But on this issue, which should be the easiest, American people largely not with us. So now let me give you the exact numbers. Percentage saying the CIA's interrogation methods, which were obviously clearly torture, were justified. 51% say that they were justified. Only 29% say not justified, and 20% said don't know. 51% looks closer than it is. As you can tell, once you put don't know in there, it's not really close. Those are not good numbers, but they don't get any better from there. Do you believe that it provided intelligence, these CIA techniques, right, that prevented terror attacks? Yes, 56% say they provided intelligence. But a report that just looked at 6 million pages of CIA documents, they didn't make up the documents. They looked at CIA documents and they found out that it does not have an effect. They did not provide intelligence. Yet 56% say they did, 28% say no, and 16% say they don't know. At least say the 16% I understand. They're not paying attention. They didn't read the report. They didn't see the news about the report. And the news is maddening because they always played 50-50. The Senate says this, the CIA says that. In fact, I'm going to have 3 guys who are ex-CIA guys on now to tell you about how it was all okay and it provided a lot of great intelligence. Then I'm going to have Dick Cheney on to defend it, and then I'm going to have a mealy-mouthed Democrat on to kind of waver on it. So, and then at the end, you get this impression. But it's not just the media. These are fairly overwhelming numbers. People in general are saying, who cares about facts? Those guys hit us, those guys. 25% were innocent, roughly. They're in those guys. So this does not speak well of humanity, these numbers. Now, the last one is the most interesting, if you ask me. Do you agree with the decision to release Senate committee report? 42% say it's the right decision. 43%, a plurality, says it's the wrong decision. 15% says don't know. So you didn't even want to see it. You literally wanted to say, I don't see no evil, right? Or in this case, since they don't think it was evil in the first place, see, no evil, no torture, I'm not buying it, it worked, despite the facts that tell me that it clearly did not work, and plus, you shouldn't have even showed it to me in the first place. Now, I guarantee you a lot of those people in that group are also the ones that say, the big government, they're here to oppress us and they're doing things in secret. Yeah, they're torturing people in secret. And when they tell you about it, you say, God damn it, why'd you tell me? Because you want to avert your eyes, you don't want to see it because it makes you uncomfortable. When you saw the Abu Ghraib pictures, you realized it was torture and there was no way to deny it. So now you don't want to see the new pictures. It turns out, according to Joe Lieberman of all people, there's over 2,000 pictures of abuses, most of which is torture. Here, let me read you a quote of some of what's in the new pictures. These are the old pictures from Abu Ghraib, and that became an international scandal, and that became undeniable once you saw the pictures. But apparently people are not just knuckleheads, they're willfully ignorant. They want to be ignorant. They don't want to see the truth. Now, what's in the new pictures? Some photos show American troops posing with corpses. Others depict U.S. forces holding guns to people's heads or simulating forced sodomization. What happened? I thought there was no rape when you did the rectal feeding, the rectal hydration, and you did it with the largest hose you could find. It said I thought it was all fine. Oh, but you don't want to see it because if you see it, you'll realize, well, that's obviously rape. And look at that we're posing with a guy we tortured to death. And here's another guy we're threatening. When I see it, I can't deny it. And that's inconvenient because I'd like to keep denying it. I'd like to have them continue to do torture even though the facts are in and it doesn't work, because it's not about that. It's cathartic. They got us and we got them back, which then leads them to want to get us back. And in fact, that's why they're not releasing the pictures. Obama said he would. Remember when he said he would be the most transparent administration in history? That was a good one. All he's doing now is actively covering up for the crimes of the Bush administration. He was supposed to release the pictures in 2009, and right as he was preparing to release the pictures, he came out in a surprise press conference and said, I'm not going to release them. The Pentagon doesn't want them released. It would endanger the troops. I know, how many times do we say, no, the torture itself endangered the troops. That's why you shouldn't have done it. You shouldn't have done it, and plus it endangers our troops because now, since we do it, the enemy gets to say, well, since you do the torture, we can do the torture too. Yeah, you say, oh, they might have done it anyway. Aren't we supposed to be better than them? That's why you don't want to see the pictures, because you want to continue with this fantasy that we're better than them. In fact, perfect example of that is, let me go to video 10 here, is from Fox and Friends. Kilmeade is going to basically pretty much accidentally admit it. Listen to what he says.
And keep in mind, the worst could be yet to come. Later on this week, we're going to find out if the Obama administration will be successful or how hard they will fight to stop the releasing of hundreds of photos of the interrogations, various things that happened in Afghanistan that would not make us look like the benevolent people we want to portray ourselves are, because we're doing this thing, we're at war.
We don't want those pictures released because it would make us look like the benevolent people we're trying to pretend to be. Oops, did I say that out loud? Then he had to panic, add the last half sentence, because we're at war and we had to do it. Right, of course. And did you notice the first part of that statement? Obama is now trying and fighting hard to make sure those pictures are never released. The reason he claimed he couldn't release them in 2009 was because we had all those troops in Iraq and they would be endangered. Well, they're not in Iraq anymore. So what was your excuse in 2012? Well, Panetta didn't give an excuse. His defense secretary just said, I'm not releasing the pictures, deal with it. And now they're in court fighting to make sure that the Bush torture pictures are never released from the guy who told you he was going to bring you change. And apparently, savvy political move, because the American people are made uncomfortable with it. They just want to pretend that it works and close their eyes. So I guess in a sense, Obama's giving them what they want.